You'd think that I knew how to do this by now, but this is actually kind of new for me because I don't usually stream via YouTube. I stream via this like other streaming software. But usually when we stream through that, people complain about things like, I don't know, low quality footage or I don't know, delays and stuff like that. So I've been trying, like testing out the idea of streaming via YouTube specifically. So please bear with me. As the title suggests, though, yes, we are changing up my reading journal, turning it into a stories journal. So, effectively bringing things like movies, TV shows, all of that kind of stuff in here. I really hope that the live stream didn't cut off my whole spiel at the start. It might have, because now it says that we've only been here for like 13 seconds. It's fine. Everything is a work in progress today. It's all good. If it did just start and it cut me off, I apologize for the kerfuffle this morning, but we're going to get right on into it. So, in terms of actually kind of like transferring this over to be more of like what some people would call a media journal, I like the term stories journal. I've kind of like sneakily stolen that from Sarah over at Heart Breathings because she has one and I just thought it was a really cute name. But that's effectively what I want to capture in here is really like mainly stories. Obviously, I also have like, my non-fiction reads in here as well. So those ones aren't so much story based, but they're books and they belong in the book journal. So I'm thinking that it's mainly going to be about that kind of like storytelling aspect, whether that be a nonfiction story or otherwise. Then there are still some storytelling elements in the nonfiction books that I read. So, oh my god, it went live just as it said cut me off. Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, it's cool as long as we're here together and we've got some stuff to do. I did start planning this out a little while ago, a couple weeks ago, in terms of what kind of things I might want to include if I did bring other stuff into here. So that's kind of how I started, just a list of my ideas. And then I went and circled them based on something. I think that maybe the blue ones were, like, kind of incorporating them in with something else. So something that's already in this journal, kind of, like, tweaking it slightly so that I could have the movies, TV shows, and games within that, and then the brown circles were the ones that, like, this is gonna be a new setup. It's gonna be a new layout that I set up in here. I do not believe that we will set up every single one of these today because my reading journal, or now stories journal, does take me a while to do. If you haven't seen it before, it's a little bit more scrapbooky. It's a little bit more like kind of cut and paste, stickers, washi tape, that kind of stuff. I loved the kind of general aesthetic and vibe of the reading journals I was seeing online that were doing this kind of like very, very kind of like beige, but I love it. Scrapbooky kind of feel. So I wanted to do a journal with that, and I figured that a reading journal would be perfect for it. But as said, we're now going to switch that over, do something a little bit different. So if we have a look at the blue circles first. So we've noted that like things that I want to watch, both movies and TV shows, and games that I want to play, they can all actually be combined with a list that I already have. Okay. Because on my scrolling all the way back, yes, scrolling in a book, because my fiction and nonfiction list don't specify that it has to be books, I figured I can just drop them down on here. Like, ideally, if I had have thought of this before I started the actual setup of it, I would have probably gone and you know, put like some columns or something to say what type of media it is, but it doesn't really bother me. It's all good. So I figured I can just like add that to the list that I have here. Obviously, for nonfiction, I've got like a decent chunk of nonfiction books that I want to read. Whereas for fiction, I don't really ahead of time decide that I want to read a fiction book until like it's just before I read it. Does that kind of make sense? I feel like I'm very much like a mood reader in that respect. Whereas movies, I know that I have quite a list of movies that I want to watch. So we can go and add those to this. Then we have the blurb reviews, which are just kind of all done together. So that's going to come later. And then the series tracker, I can go and add other series into my series tracker. So that one is, I know it's on this side of the page, not here. There we go. So effectively writing down the title of the series and then just having dots for how many kind of, I don't know, what's the word? Individual parts to the series there are. So, like, for instance, in terms of books, it's like, well, those are each of the books in the series. If it's a TV show kind of series, then maybe it would be in terms of the, what's the word? Season. There we go. Wow. You can tell that my mind, like, is not with it this morning, hey? I woke up and I was, like, feeling very kind of, like, tentative about whether we did a stream today because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, I'm not feeling, like, super great, like, maybe I just, you know, postpone till later." And I'm like, "No, no, no, we can do this. This is gonna be great. Like, you'll get into it when you're there." And I am getting into it, but I am also a scatterbrained mess, so apologies. But, I think that the first thing we're gonna do, though, we're gonna flip back and we're going to start to bring in those things that are, like, fiction and nonfiction that are not books. Do I actually wanna do that? I feel very like, "Oh god, is it you're putting pen onto the paper. This is a scary time." But we can do this, okay? So, in terms of fiction, like, books I've already got. Movies. What kind of movies do I really, really wanna see? That one is gonna be a really long list. Do I actually wanna sit here and write all those out right now? I'm being indecisive as well. This isn't very helpful, is it? I could do that, or okay, no, stuff it. We're gonna make a new page, mainly because I already went and got out all of my different, like, supplies that I usually use when I do stuff in this journal, so we might as well actually make use of it. So if we flip all the way forward, all the way, see I haven't printed out the covers here, but I will. So one of the bummer things is that when I did my kind of what I'm gonna call start of journal setup, it's not really, but my start of 2024 setup, I went and put in all of the pages related to my reading. So, like, my book bingo and the stuff related to the book club and all of that kind of thing. And then I put a 2024 in review, and I'm like, that would have been a really nice, like, cap off page to come at the end. But that's not what happened, alas. And then after this, we have all time favorites, which wasn't so much related to 2024 specifically. That's why it came afterwards, and also non-fiction topics that I want to explore. So the plan for this spread was that we were going to have buddy reads over here and then book to screen over here. But I think the book to screen would be a really good kind of transition into my not book related pages. So I'm thinking this guy is actually going to go over here, and then we'll start on movie kind of esque type things there. But then I was thinking, well, if this is buddy reads, then maybe this could be buddy views or like buddy watching kind of a thing. So it's like movies or TV shows that I want to watch with somebody else. There aren't a lot of games that I specifically play because they're two-player, mainly because I just feel like it's really hard to find really good two-player games. If you have ideas for good two-player games that don't make you want to, like, I don't know, hurt the other person you're playing with, then I would love to hear them. Overcooked, while it is a two-player game and a lot of people recommend it, we both get so frustrated at each other, like, full-blown yelling, like, "Just pick up the damn tomato! Where is the fish?" Like, it's not very conducive to, like, good relationship vibes, I feel, but it's all good. In terms of the buddy reads, I'm thinking that for the structure of this page, I'm gonna wanna have, obviously, like, the title of whatever it is we're reading, and then also a list of, like, either a list of who I'm reading it with or maybe just, like, a section to say, because I was thinking, like, okay, well, we could do it like columns, like, this is the title, this is who you're reading it with. But if I'm reading it with more than one person, I feel like I'm gonna wanna list them all out, and if I only have a small amount of space to write that, then it might not be enough. Yeah? Yeah, full-blown Gordon Ramsay, like, getting the pieces of bread. What are you? An idiot sandwich. Like, very easily frustrated because Vogel doesn't check like, the stream of incoming things, like what we need to cook or whatever. So he's just like, "What do you need?" I'm like, "Just look in the top corner. I'm trying to do something." He's like, "Oh, do you need more tomatoes?" "No, you already cut me 3 tomatoes." Ah! Like, it's not great. But in terms of the buddy reads, I'm thinking I might need to just sketch some stuff out before we start. It's always good to have a sketch before you start. And I'm just gonna use my little scribble book for sketching because I like my little scribble book. So I'm thinking on this page, we draw up a page that looks roughly like a page. It's not quite the right dimensions, but I get what I mean. We're going to have the kind of header decoration maybe in the corner, and then we can have the buddy raised label sit kind of central, but maybe slightly towards the right. This kind of decoration stuff is just going to be like a layering of the papers that we've got. So whether that be like, the washi tape and a little bit of paper or whatever, that kind of stuff, it's effectively going to look like this kind of a thing. So that's going to sit up there. And then we're going to do, this one won't be a page that has covers. It's just going to be a list type deal. So I think that I might just highlight every second line and then have title, and buddies or buddy list. And then if I need to list out multiple people, I'll just take up multiple lines. So if we're reading like, I don't know, book, whatever it is, doesn't really matter, then I can list out the 3 people. And then underneath that, I can just draw off a little line and list out the next book. And that's probably the easiest way to do this. So because on the last page, I used this map type washi tape, I don't really want to use it again. I like to change them up a little bit. I know they all end up being browns and beiges, but it would be nice to have a little bit of variation here. So I'm going to pick out a tape that isn't too bad. Like this guy here isn't too bad. I think that it's a nice kind of darker tone, which means that I get some contrast between that and my label here. I love reading through this because there's some stuff in here you're just like, what the heck are you talking about? You really just wish they would do like the lorem impulsum kind of thing, because that's just very neutral, whereas a lot of these words do kind of stand out, but if I layer other stuff over the top, it won't be a problem. Like this part says, no trouble, no trouble, no trouble, no trouble, no trouble. I'm in a hurry with you. Like, there it is again. No trouble, no trouble, no trouble. But I'm going to pull this off the back and lay it into the corner. And it's okay if it overhangs a little bit because then I can trim it back. What I don't want is white space. There we go. And we're also going to kind of tear from here across. I think that that's a good place to end it. I really like the kind of ripped paper look in this journal, so it just makes it look a little bit more organic. So that's kind of what I do. I like try to rip from one side across to the other with as much, space as I need. Sometimes that can be kind of tricky depending on where you actually want to lay things down and how much you want to rip off, especially if I'm using a tape where I want the majority of the tape to be on the page and I just want to rip the very edge. It can be kind of tricky, but that's okay because this is a corner today. And then this corner in particular that I'm ripping off, like I could save this and use it for something else. So I'm just going to effectively attach it to my desk behind me in a way that means it's not going to stick to itself, but it's safe and it can be used later. Cute. For this extra edge though, we need to trim that off. So I would love to know, what are you guys up to today? What are we working on? Are we journaling together? Or are you working on something else? Let me know. I always find that it's a nice time to like watch a stream and get some stuff done. That's effectively why I jump into other people's streams, especially because I know that a lot of people in our kind of community do stream on this day, which for me is Monday, but let's see. The new spring subscription box has many washi tapes with words and flowers that will work in these spreads. Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't get the subscription box unless they send it to me, mainly because they don't ship to New Zealand. So for me to actually get it here is a bit of a struggle, but I like those washi tapes that have words on them. Loud noise. Put that away. There we go. Hopefully less loud because of that. But I find that I'm kind of picky when it comes to my word washi tapes though as well. Like, I want to have a very good variation of ones that are kind of horizontally word-based, kind of like this one is, versus ones that are like this, which is more vertically word-based. So this one works better down the edge of a page rather than along the top. Otherwise, the text is in the wrong direction, and that always irks me. All right, what are we doing? Heading to uni, making your morning better. I'm glad. Oh, for your class of biochem, chemistry is tricky. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I didn't find chemistry as easy at high school in particular when I was, at high school many moons ago. But then when I got to university, I fell in love with it. So that's why I stuck with chemistry. But yes, it is not necessarily still easy at all. It was just more enjoyable for me. Let's see. Planning and trying to set up some journals. Nice. Updating your journals. Planning for the week. Nice. Painting in your coloring book. Ooh, fancy. Love that. So Buddy Reads label is going to go here, but I usually like to do some more layering, so we need to find some more little bits and pieces of tape that I can stick in with that. Funnily enough, I have heaps of little bits and pieces of tape, so it's all good. So I'm cut off a little piece of a stamp and stick that down there. This is where my I don't know, difficulties with layering come into it, because it's oh god, there are so many options. But For instance, this tape, I don't really use the text, I just use the little books. And because this is a buddy reads thing, maybe I'll use a little stack of books so we can cut that one off. There we go. Working on your wedding journal. Nice. Vogel and I started talking wedding planning yesterday. Only a little bit. We're not very far into that process, despite having been engaged for many moons, but that's okay. We'll get there eventually. You want to update your book journal? Fair. Yeah. That's the thing with making this into a stories journal, is that I've really been holding off on updating anything in it because I was like, okay, well, you're going to want to set up, some pages related to movies and whatever else. So you can't, well, it's not that you can't, but I didn't want to go in and start doing my blurbs for this year. So there's little kind of sections where I rate the books and write down some thoughts and stuff because I wanted to make sure that I had, all of these kind of pages set up before I start doing that so that all of the blurbs are in there uninterrupted. So I've been kind of trying to remember what has been happening in the books and TV shows and whatever else that I've been enjoying so that then I can I'll put you here. So cute, little stack. So I can actually come and put them in once I've finished doing this stuff. I'm gonna put this guy here and I'm gonna put a little piece of tape on either corner of these ones because that one kind of frames off this corner and I don't want to overlap it too much. You're procrastinating cleaning the kitchen and laundry? Yeah, I feel you. I am always procrastinating cleaning, so that is very much a vibe. What kind of layering have I done previously? It's been a while since I've worked in this, so I'm just like, oh gosh, what do you even do? What do we even do in this journal? We could use some little sticker kind of things. That'd be kind of cute. In the meantime, I'm going to find my pen, wherever it is, making sure that I pick up the right color because I've been burned before. I don't know why, but recently I've just been picking up the wrong color of pen to do work, and it's not like the end of the world. Usually I haven't picked up the wrong color of pen to the extent of like it was supposed to be a red and I picked up a green, but more so like it was supposed to be a light tan and I picked up a pale orange kind of a thing. It's like, yeah, when you see that next to everything else, it does become a little bit noticeable. For anybody who's wondering, this is pen 990 with Tombow dual brush markers. It is my favorite of the light browns, mainly because if my lines do go cattywampus while I'm highlighting them, which they often do, it's not usually as noticeable, which is nice. So put those ones in. And if you're like, oh my gosh, Jess, how do you get your line so straight? First of all, haha, you're so nice because these are actually fairly wobbly. Like, it's kind of cheerleader effect. If you put enough of them right next to each other, they usually just start to look a little bit better. But also, what you want to do is just hold your wrist in one locked position, kind of like I'm doing here, and then just drag your entire arm towards yourself. Because if you try and turn your wrist, oftentimes that's when you start to make kind of wobbly-esque mistakes. Also, I totally butt my hand up against my journal, which does lead to micro paper cuts, which is not so fun, but it does keep my lines straight. It's that idea of like, beauty is pain or whatever, and that fits for journaling as well. It doesn't have to be, though. You don't have to do it like this at all. And eventually I do have to put my hand on top of my journal because my, I don't know, fingers aren't that long. They can't like reach to the next part of the setup. Yeah, that line was a little bit wonky, but that's fine. That's why we do them light. So, love the every line highlighting. You're such a persnickety. You'd have to choose 5 minutes. Yeah, no, completely fair. I used to do that. I think with this journal in particular, and my long-term collections journal, I kind of eased up on that. Because I found that like it would just take too long kind of a thing. And I like this journal because it is a little bit messy in a way. It's not like super messy because nothing I do is really all that messy most of the time. Because I like it better when it's a little bit more neat, a little bit more structured. Yeah. Go slow, move your whole arm. Well, I'm glad that is sinking in. But yeah, I do. I really love this. I really do. I really love this. So when it comes to the tops of lists, I often leave the top one unhighlighted and write down in black, it seems. So that fits because I don't have enough space to put a highlight there. So that's good. So we can rule that off. And I don't think I'm going to, maybe I could. I'm I'm thinking maybe I won't put in a vertical divider for the two sides of the list. I don't think I really need it. So I just write title and buddies. And I think that the title section is going to need to be longer than the buddies section, probably. Mainly because when I write my buddies, it'll just be like probably their first names for the most part. So title of the book, because it is Buddy Reads, and then my buddies list can go over here. Looks gorge. All right, that looks pretty cute. This one is not finished in terms of layering, because having a section this large with just that doesn't sit as nicely with me. And when it comes to sticking stuff over the top of this kind of thing, you can use washi tape, but oftentimes the washi tape is slightly transparent and then it kind of just blends in, which I have had on like this guy here. Like you can kind of see this admit O, like that one is a piece of tape that's sticking over the top of my background. This background is a lot lighter though, so that layering it's not too bad. But if I try and do the same thing over here, it's not really going to work. So I either need to pick out a tape that's a little bit more aggressive in terms of its coloration, like a little bit more punchy, or I need to try and think about like just sticking paper over the top. I think I can do some of this one though, because it's got some darker sections maybe, but it kind of blends still fairly well, so that might not work. I could just like cut out this typewriter section and put that in, but I think I'm just going to go with paper. So in terms of my paper stack, because obviously these guys here, they're all of the washi tapes and such, I like to keep all of the papers for this journal in another container so that then I've got them handy. This one's already got some ripped out pieces, so I might use some of that. Otherwise, I've got like these little books of kind of pretend coffee stained paper, which are just great. I just bought like a bunch of beige and brown colored things so that I could use them. And I've also pulled off some of these pages, so we'll pull some of those out. Now, for ripping and sticking, I do usually like to use double-sided tape. I just find it nicer to work with. You can use a glue stick. I just find glue sticks are more messy and they irk me. So I'm probably going to go with double-sided tape. And my favorite is having a tape roller. It's just, again, a little bit easier to use. You don't have to like cut things up and whatnot. Let's see. Persnickety biscuit has become part of your regular vocabulary. I'm so glad that people are like embracing the persnickety biscuit of it all, because that's not something that was like, something that I've said for a really long time. It was just at some point, I'm pretty sure it was like last year, I just decided, you know what, this is something you say now. And it only took me about a week and it became part of my regular speak. So yay for Team Persnickety Biscuit. So this one in particular has really good kind of color difference, which means that when I rip parts of this up and stick it over the top, it's actually going to show up. This one is a lot more kind of like similar toned, so it's not going to show up as well. So that's like you can use some of it, maybe not too much. And then this one obviously has some decent differences too. So we're probably going to use a combination of these two more than this one, just making sure that we don't encroach too much on this guy. I might just put like a little bit of tape on the back of this so I can kind of see where it's supposed to go. There we go. So it's going to sit effectively here. There. And we're going to pull that up and stick it down properly in a second, because that's not a permanent fix. You can very much see that it's curling up the edges. So there's also a very good reason why I usually do this type of stuff as kind of pre-recorded videos, because scrapbooking styles like this, they don't really come naturally to me. They're not something that I'm super familiar with, but I still enjoy them. It just means that there's usually a fair bit of chopping and changing of stuff as I go through. So if we're going through and you're like, Jess doesn't know what she's doing, then haha, you would be right. 100% correct. There we go. All right. Cute. And we'll just put that so it kind of comes underneath here. I also try to make it so that when I'm doing this layering of papers and stuff like that, you don't waste too much of it, if that kind of makes sense. Um, I mean, obviously, sometimes it's not, viable to save every little bit and piece. I'm trying not to be a paper hoarder, but I kind of am. But when it comes to doing the layering in particular, say, if I know that I'm gonna have like a larger piece of decoration in the top here, which is going to completely cover up this tape, I'll just try and finish it sooner so that I'm not like wasting that part of the tape. And I know it's only a small piece, but like some of these tapes are more expensive, and I do want to try and, hold on to them for as long as possible without just never using them. Um, that's also a bit of a problem. I don't know if that question's for me, but I'm going to answer it anyway. What kind of journaling do you prefer? Do you mean in terms of like long form versus bullet journaling versus reading journaling, or would love an elaboration on that? I guess like top of the list would probably be bullet journaling because I don't really like writing, honestly. Like I don't mind the little blurbs or the style of little blurbs that I've done for this because I went in with the intention of like, you don't enjoy writing too much, so do not give yourself too much space. So like this is okay. I can deal with that for each of my books. But long form journaling is not something that I'm very drawn to because I don't like writing all that much. I don't mind typing, and I don't mind like kind of like capturing thoughts via, I don't know, video and stuff. Video journaling. That's my favorite type of journaling. Let's see. Not familiar with scrapbooking style. Love that. I personally have been starting to lean more towards like washi tapes in particular for just like simple decoration. So like pens and washi tape are probably my preferred style of decorative stuff at the moment. I used to be a little bit more into drawing, especially when it came to like, first putting my planner out on the internet, because in the back of my mind I was like, if you start using supplies that people don't have, they're not going to want to watch your videos. And I know that that's not necessarily the case. In fact, I think that a lot of people get value out of creators using materials that they can then just go buy and use for themselves, because then they don't have to have like, I'm going to say they don't have to have artistic talent. I do believe we all have artistic talent. It's just that our talents may lie in different artistic areas. They don't have to be in like physical pen, paper, whatever type things. But, everybody is creative in their own way, even if they don't think they are. There we go. 2 little layers. So I think that, yeah, my preference when it comes to my journaling style is probably edging towards washi tapes and pen without a lot of doodle drawing. And when I say washi tapes, I also kind of mean washi stickers. Like, I think washi stickers are the smartest idea. I just think that they are very cool. I'm going to put you here, friendo. There. I feel like I need to do a layer of something up here. Maybe something a little bit more transparent. Maybe pick out one of these pieces. There we go. Let's see. Tink, tink. I feel like I need a drink now too, but I'll open up a drink after I've done this. So this one here has just like a bunch of different like pictures and pieces of different stuff. She says ripping through it. Maybe I'll use that one. Which means that you kind of use it by cutting it up into smaller bits and pieces. So I think that given the fact that I just ripped that, I might as well just use that. It does make it a little bit harder to use because it is so like wide, but it's all good. I don't really want like Mr. Man here, so I'm gonna just cut to there and cut that part out. Carefully, these are sharp scissors. I'm telling myself this more than I'm telling you this. There we go. And that can just go sit over on the desk. Think about what it's done. Be a bit of a sticky mess. Let's see. I want to tell you you greatly appreciate my realness. You're a lurker. Oh, yay. I love lurkers. Well, I'm glad that you appreciate it, and I'm glad that, what general openness is appreciated. I can understand why that is the case, because I feel like that with other creators that I watch and stuff. It's just nice when you know that they can kind of relate to whatever it is. If we're thinking about journaling in particular, it's like, not all of these things come supernaturally easy to me, and probably don't come supernaturally easy to all of the other creators that we have in our space as well. So this one can sit up here, and I'm gonna put it there. There we go. So you see it, like, it's kind of transparent, so things kind of pop up behind it because it is a slightly darker color of the tape, though it kind of blends in. And that's okay, because I don't really need it to really super stand out. I just want it to kind of like blend into that corner. Okay, this guy can come up now, and we can put some proper tape on him and stick him down. Oh, yay, motivating you to get back into your travel journal. That's awesome. I love the idea of travel journals. I'm not very good at actually journaling when I'm away. Oftentimes I'll like take my everyday journal or whatever, like, oh yeah, you might write down some notes or thoughts or whatever else, and I don't find that I tend to. But seeing people flip through their travel journals after they've been away for a trip, it's just like, oh, I'm so jealous. So jealous. Shakes fists. I'll get the drink in a second. I'm sorry, I forgot that I said I was gonna do that. I'll put this down and then I'll get a bevy. And by I'll get a bevy means I have a bevy here, my bevy. And I will open up said bevy. There we go. Put the tape on the back side of the piece. Otherwise, my pages start to stick together and that makes me very upset. So, of course, beverage of choice today is a Coke Zero because it always is a Coke Zero. But question on the side. Love side question. As there was just a video on the Kuma Stationery, is the paper we unite the same as the notebook therapy ones? Yeah, I believe so. I mean, Tink, a lot of the papers in the 160 GSM notebooks are pretty similar, if not exactly the same, to the extent where I'm like, are they getting these printed at the same place? Maybe. I also said Tink, so I'm gonna have a drink. Ding ding ding. Yum. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, I used to take, when I was trying to do travel journaling, I tried to take down notes, just brief, abridged ones at the end of the day to try and like have something written there that I could refer back to, and then I would never do anything with them. So how long does I think the piece of tape that I've been using is the width of the tape. You can see like these little kind of tied off corners, and they're a small detail and they're not super necessary, but I just think that they look so flicking cute, so I like to do them. So, need some skizzers. Not tend approval. Thank you, Monica, for taking care of me. Let's see. I'm gonna cut off. I like to do effectively one of the grid boxes, but I try and make it so that it's across two separate grids, just for some visual interest. And then we put these on as if they're like kind of like little leather fasteners. That's kind of why I chose the brown color as well. I mean, along with the fact that everything in this journal is brown, tee-hee, but I do have a couple of different variations of this tape. I just thought that the dark brown one worked the nicest. Oh, look at that. Yay. And it only took me half an hour, which, I mean, obviously, because I'm sitting here with you guys and we're having bants, which I love, 100%, my journaling does take longer. So it's not necessarily the most accurate representation of how things, like, how long things actually take in me, but it is still a kind of rough estimate. Oh yeah, let's see. Has anybody gotten my number of unused journals correct? Yes, I believe we have a couple people who might have. It was the last time I checked, and that was a couple of days ago. Which, of course, if you haven't seen it, I know that shorts aren't for everybody, so you might not have picked up on it, but we are hosting a giveaway at the moment. So if you jump on over to the shorts feed at some point, whenever, then there is a short that we have posted up there, which is actually a giveaway short. And in that one, we are giving away a $50 Artranola voucher to the lucky winner. You have to guess how many notebooks I have that are A5 that I haven't used effectively. So when I say haven't used, I mean like this guy, for instance, is used. This guy, for instance, is used. Like he has stuff in him. And it's just A5. So in my collection, how many A5 journals do I have that I have not used yet? And you get 3 guesses. So 3 separate comments, 3 guesses. If you get the right one, well, then you're in the draw to win effectively. Just because like we've already got a couple people who have already guessed the number. So then that one's just going to be randomized from those people who guessed correctly. Let's see. Wondering what Vogel thought of Akatar. He enjoyed it. He asked me to pass through the what's the second one? Come on, like that's a bit rude, Jess, because it's literally right here. It's an all-time favorite. But yeah, so I passed through the second one to him last night, and we were going to bed. He's like, "Oh, we're not reading today." Like he was like kind of sad. And I'm like, "No, babe, we do need to get to sleep. No reading today." He's like, "Oh, okay, no reading today." But nah, all good's about the autocorrect. I mean, I feel like the autocorrect, I don't know if it's the same on Android phones, but I feel like the autocorrect on Apple phones has gotten worse. Like, you type out a word and the word is fine, and then you type out the next word, it's like, oh, well, that last word must have been wrong, and it like goes back and changes a previous word. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop it. But it's fine. It's cool. We're only out here like trying to exist and such. Alrighty, good to see that people are, getting in and putting their votes down, or votes, I suppose they're more like guesses. Yes, good. 3 guesses. Love that. Because, might as well get the maximum opportunity for entries. And I want you guys to win something. I like doing giveaways. I like this idea of like giving back type thing. It's a bit of fun. So, Buddy Raise is good. This one I'm hoping to do is like a buddy watch. So we're gonna need a new label, and I prefer to not use the same color 2 times in a row. These ones are just done with these little labels that came from, I'm gonna say Stationery Pal. I'll put a link to it in the description box once we're wrapped up here. But every single one of these is like the same, yeah? But it comes in 3 different colors. So we've got the kind of beige color, cream color, we've got a pink, and we've got a brown. But then they also have different design packets as well. Like this one I think was called like the leaves or something, because there are leaves on it, funnily enough. But they also have ones that are like mushrooms as well, and they also have ones that are little flowers. I don't often use these flower ones because they're notably better for like a vertical direction. I've been using these ones a lot more. Occasionally the mushrooms, but I just prefer these ones because they've got the box, because I also like to trim them down a little bit. I think I maybe am going to use the, let's see, because the next one I know is a pink, and that one's going to go here. So I don't really want to use the pink one, and I just use the beige, so brown it is. So for these ones, I just, obviously take the ticket off, but I also like to trim it down so it's kind of just the edge of the border there, like a little edge around the border. Thank you, John. John Carr. There you go. You had enough time to read enough books for a book journal. Well, see, that's the thing. I don't really consider myself to be much of a reader, whereas in the last year, I have kind of come into more of like being a reader. I still wouldn't really call myself a reader, and I know that it's the kind of thing that like I've set this own kind of like barrier for myself in that respect. I think that because in my mind, and this is only for my mind, okay? So please do not use this as a measuring stick to whether you guys call yourselves readers. But in my mind, I'm not a reader unless reading is like my primary thing. Like if reading is not my go-to hobby, I'm not a reader. And that shouldn't be the thing. See, I know she's already there. She's already shaking her fist at me. Because it's the kind of thing that's like if I was my friend, and if my friend was sitting there saying like, oh, I've read 8 books this year, but like I'm not a reader, I would smack her up the side of the head and be like, no, bish. Like, stop being a persnickety biscuit and stop like holding yourself back from giving yourself this identifier, because you feel like you haven't like done enough to be the thing. It's the same idea with like when people say that they're a fan of something. I set the bar for being a fan for something for myself super flippin' high, to the extent where I wouldn't think that I'm a fan of like any musical artist or band. Like there are musical artists and bands that I like, but for me, the bar for being a fan is like too high for me to call myself that. And that's completely like, what's the word? Self-imposed. It's a completely self-imposed restriction, and I think it's a little bit silly. But, I am a little bit silly, so it is what it is. On this one, I'm a reader, just not fast enough to be part of a book club or do journal. See, that's the thing. It's like Rachel and I started a book club type of a thing. uh, to try and get us both back into reading, and I was just very appreciative that other people were interested in it. And because other people are interested in it, it means that I'm now held a bit more accountable to actually finishing the book in a timely manner. Let's say, yeah, "Oh, you're a fan of this?" And, like, name every single thing. It's like, "Yeah, well, name 10 things they've been in." It's that kind of thing, like, it's that kind of, like, gatekeeping, and I'm, like, gatekeeping myself. I'm, like, self-imposed gatekeeping on whether I'm allowed to be a reader or a fan, and I know that it's stupid, but it's my stupid, and I have to live with it. So, in terms of this, we have buddy reads. I'm gonna have is it, like, buddy viewing or buddy watching? Buddy watches? 'Cause that's a watch. That this guy, this is sorry, I know this is a hideous watch, guys. I'll cover that up. Nobody wants to see that. If you weren't here for the ugly watch thing, you're probably just like, "Jess, stop being mean to your watch." But anyway, in terms of this one, I'm thinking I want to probably write on the middle line first because the top line has that number. So we can at least write buddy. 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 Curve it all the way around, please, ma'am. There we go. B U D D Y. Yes, that is how we spell buddy. Oh, yeah. Let's say I wish I had more time to get back into read with a full-time job and going back to school to get licensed as a veterinary technician. Very little time left over. Completely fair. I think it's also I've found this about myself as well when it comes to like gaming in particular. Because when I game, I want to have like I don't know, several hours to really do it, to be completely honest. Um, so I find that when I get into a game, I usually play the ever-loving heck out of it, and then I drop it, and I don't go back to it for a really long time because I take a very, like, all or nothing mindset to it, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it is just what it is kind of a thing, I suppose. Uh, so I don't necessarily get, like, a small drip feed of that kind of enjoyment. It's very much more of, like, a all at once or not at all, which is how I live my life in a lot of areas. But, yeah, like Juliet said, that audiobooks can be great because it's like, yeah, you still get to experience the story, you still get to be, like, immersed in that world and stuff, but you can do it while you're doing other just stuff. So it's like, you know, general housework, washing the dishes, doing cleaning, all of that, like, just have that on. So it's like you're still kind of getting to absorb that story. You're just not kind of sitting down, physical book in hand. And I still think that counts. I'm all about audiobooks. I don't read a lot of audiobooks, but I'm all about the idea of them. So, what do we reckon? Should it be buddy views or buddy watches? Or buddy something else? I guess that's like the question. Let's see. So this one here, just for reference, this is going to be for any of my like movies, TV shows, that kind of thing. So I just need to find a title that actually makes sense, but Buddy Watches sounds weird, and then Buddy Views doesn't sound quite right either, so I'm not too sure, but I figured you guys have a better understanding of how this stuff works than me, so you let me know, what do we reckon? Should it be Buddy Views or Buddy Watches? Oh, the poll results coming in. All right, it's 67%. Oh, whoop, no, that's a big flip around. But then again, it's also only 5 votes, so of course it is. Now we're on to 15. Oh, the watches are coming in. Nope, it's going to be views. Views are on 76%. We've got 18 views in the poll, 22 votes in the poll, 18 votes. I don't know how that works. Anyways, I'm going to have a drink. A tink. Mm-mm. For Monica, it's not about finding the time, it's about prioritizing your time. I think that's the thing, It's like, it's this hard thing, like, when we say, "I don't have time," I understand where that statement comes from, 100%. Do not get me wrong, do not feel like, "Oh my god, Jess is coming at me, she's calling me out on the internet," because that's not what we're doing here. So I'll think about it in terms of myself. When I tell myself I don't have time, I'm, like, taking my power away. It's like you're effectively saying, like, "You have no control over what you do," kind of a thing. So instead, I like to think of it as, like, it's not a priority right now, because like, if I found like, okay, we're gonna take exercising as a thing. Like, if I say, "Oh, yeah, no, I don't have time for exercising," I'm like, sure, if you at face value look at how much time you have in the day, you don't have time for exercise. but it's not about that. It's more like I'm not making it a priority, so I'm not fitting it into my schedule. Like, there are things in my schedule I could take out for that, but I choose not to because I fucking hate exercise. So I like to think of it more in terms of like it's not a priority right now, rather than I don't have time, because I like to have that like, kind of like autonomy and ownership over what I'm doing. That kind of makes sense. Yeah. Let's go say, okay, so views and watches. I could say like buddy binges. That kind of does. Oh, buddy binges is actually a really good one, isn't it? Because it's like binge watching. But then binge watching to me is like when you watch like multiple of something in a row. So it'd have to be like lots of TV or like multiple movies. But buddy views does seem to be the biggest one. Alrighty, we're gonna put views up against binges. We're gonna see which one wins because you guys have the best ideas. Let's go see. ... question mark. Buddy views versus buddy binges. I will say that hopefully you've seen an improvement in the quality of just streaming through YouTube rather than our previous streaming software. I will say that I miss not being able to bring people's comments up on screen and such, because YouTube doesn't seem to have that functionality, which is a little bit sad. Like, I can pin messages and stuff, but I can't actually bring them up as part of the stream, which is a little sad. But that last one, it was dropping the quality too much, which is a bummer because it is not cheap. Like, I paid for it to make streaming easier because notably at the start of today's stream I had some struggles. I had some issues. Let's see. It's gonna be up 67% on buddy binges. Alrighty. It's looking like it's gonna be that. Alright. So that is gonna be buddy binges. I could have done a better job of this header, but it's fine. I know what it says. Actually, is it going to be fine? Like, if you stick it down and you don't like it, then that's going to be a choice, man. Because that G and the E are, like, too far away from each other, and that's bothering me. Because the G needed to loop around further. We're going to draw it out on... Actually, let's see if we can do this on... We're going to do it on the mushroom. Because there's not... Like, this ticket style is really good for when you only have, like, one line of text, I think. It just looks a little bit better. So we're going to try and do it on here instead. And it's like, I have so many of these that it's actually okay if I end up using some and they just go in the paper recycling. Like, that doesn't really bother me so much. The word buddy is annoying because it's got two Ds. And... curve around, please. Thank you. E-S. That looks better. Yeah. See how the spacing on that just looks a little bit nicer instead of the G and the E together. So, goodbye. Requiescat in pace. Nice. Put that over there. And then, in terms of my buddy binges and how I want to do the header, because, like, normally if I'm going to have a header across both pages, I'll usually do a larger piece. I'm going to have trouble finding one now. But that's also usually when I'm doing one that, like, the two pages are actually the same as each other. So, like, this one is, like, all of the reading prompts, so it goes the whole way across, which makes sense. Whereas this one's, like, two separate pages. So then the question is, do I do one at the top, one at the bottom, like I've done here? Or do I do two at the top? And I think I'm going to go with two at the top. I need to trim this down, though. This is too big. Because I still do like having it a little bit more trimmed down. We're just going to trim most of it off from this side. And then we can also do the bottom. And maybe the top if we need some, a little bit extra. Yeah, a little bit extra. A little bit off the top. That looks better. So, taking those away. I think that it's going to be... I don't want to do it in the top corner over here. I would do it over there, but then those look very close to each other. I need to go back and have a look at my previous pages and see what I've done for these. So these ones, they were done on the outer corners, but they were like fiction, non-fiction, so it was kind of like spread the whole way across. This one was, again, outer corners. And that one was outer. Obviously, I've put this in the wrong spot, and it's fine. This one was middle and top corner, which is fine. So maybe I could do like a middle instead. Outer, 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 outer. Yeah. I guess I don't often do it in the inside corner. Inside corner being like here. So that's outer as well. That's outer as well. Those are both in the middle. Outer, 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 head to head. Middle of the page, which is a little different, and then outer, and then this is inner and lower. So I've done inner, so I could do lower here with it in the middle, but then it's like exactly the same as this page, and that looks a little silly. So I might do the middle one here. And because I've used the brown, I think I might use this guy, or I could use some paper from this one instead to find, like, I try to find ones that don't have too much color on them, mainly because brown is a color, but what I meant is that ones that don't have too much like colors outside of what I'm using in this journal, because like if I put green on this page, it is going to look a little bit strange. So if we flick through, like this one's not too bad. I could probably get away with a little bit of the pink stuff if I kind of put this over the top of it, but we're looking for something that has good contrast, effectively, is the general aim of the game here. It also doesn't have to specifically be from this notepad either. Like, I have another notepad that I can use too. So flip through these, see if we can find one that kind of fits the bill. We also have the paper from before that we pulled out too, though, which is that kind of golden color, but I feel like this blends a little bit too much, yeah? So we're just trying to find something where the contrast is good and it'll kind of sit nicely in that corner. We could do something like this if I just go with like the lower half, but this even looks a little bit too gray-green to me as well. So I think that maybe instead of this notepad, ooh, that's not too bad. And that'll stand out. Okay, we're going to use this piece because it caught my eye. I will say that these notepad pieces do not rip out nicely from this, but if you're going for a torn edge look, it's fine. I will probably want to put that part in the top. So we're going to maybe go with the buddy views or buddy binges is going to be effectively the same structure as this one, so title and the buddy list. So we're going to start with the lines and we're going to make it come up to the same point, and then once I know that point, we can put the decoration in. So then it's actually going to line up nicely across the 2 pages, which I will appreciate. So that line totally went outside of where it was supposed to go, but it's fine. That's why we use the light colored pen. I often find that fixing a mistake half the time just draws more attention to it, so I just leave a lot of them. But I do have one area that I fixed a mistake in this journal that, I mean, like, I had to fix it. It actually wasn't a mistake. It was, I was going to be partaking in this reading challenge, and I kind of started setting up a page for it, and then I didn't really like the way the page worked to start with. But I was like, it's fine. And then decided not actually to do the reading challenge. So it's like I had a page in here, or like a setup in here that was for something that I was never actually going to be partaking in. So eventually I ended up like just completely covering it up. So that one was one that I kind of did choose to cover up. The nice part with the scrapbooking type theme, though, is that oftentimes with the things that I'm doing in here, a cover up can just come from sticking something over the top in terms of like a decorative piece. Or if it's, writing out the header wrong or something like that, you just don't stick the piece in and then write it out again. That's really nice. So on this one, we're going to have a little bit of corner decoration here. I might... we're going to stick this part in first, and then we're going to have a little play around. But we'll say title and my buddies. How much space did I use there? You can count or you can use a ruler. It's 4 centimeters. 4 centimeters. There we go. Put that away. I still need to get myself a new ruler because that ruler is actually not straight, which is very frustrating, especially when I want to draw longer lines, especially when I want to draw longer black lines, because it's a little bit more obvious when it's not as straight when I do that one, which is very frustrating. So in terms of the size of this one, it's going to need to finish about in line with that. We're going to just tear across here. Kind of organic-esque looking thing. Put that in that space there. It's going to stick up here. And it's all good that this is like a little bit weird looking, because I can always just chunk my header over the top of that, probably about there. I'll try and make it roughly central, and then I'll stick something in the corner here. But when it comes to doing the paper sticking in the edge of the page, I typically tend to use an actual like roll of tape rather than my Tombow tape roller, mainly because this has a little bit more, I don't know, I'm going to say precision. It's really as precise as you want it to be, but I can get it a little bit closer to the edge of the paper, which means it's just going to stop it curling up at the edges of my notebook page, which I appreciate. Let's see. This one in particular is from Warehouse Stationery, which is a New Zealand. I don't even know if they're actually a New Zealand company, but they're somewhere in New Zealand that sells this stuff. So I don't really know if they have a super mega equivalent online, but I'm going to stick this here. We're going to stick it slightly over the page, just so that then this corner doesn't look weird. Doesn't look weird. Let's say we have a book chat channel in the community Discord. Yeah, we do. We love the community Discord. If you're not part of the community Discord, you want to come and hang out with a bunch of really cool people, then you should come and join us. I'm sorry that the people got very, very loud there because I dropped my skizzers. It wasn't quite my intention, but it did happen. If you got jump scared by the scissors, I apologize. So put this here. So then it is in the corner, nice and close, so it will be nice and secure. Yeah. Beautiful. Whereas this edge here, like, it's going to be a little bit too hard trying to do that with the tape. Like, I could go and kind of like fussy cut around it, but it's just going to be easier with the Tombow tape runner. So we're just going to put those along there, because you can kind of like, you know, do little bits and pull it up and then change direction and whatever else. Love it. I love the fact that the cap on this is just this little kind of flick down, and it like secures itself so that you kind of, you know, flick it down, do your tape running, and then you just flick it back up. And now it won't get stuck on things in your bag. I appreciate that. Whereas some of my other tape runners, which are, you know, more accessible to me here in New Zealand, but definitely lower quality, they come with like a proper full cap that you have to like pull on, pull off. And I know that that is a very small amount of time, but it is just, you know, something. Let's see. Struggle reading just for fun when you started uni. Yeah, no, that's completely fair. Because yeah, I didn't. I actually have. Okay, this is a kind of a side story, but we're gonna tell it anyways. Hee hee hee. I was gonna stick this higher, but I didn't. So, as I've said, I don't really consider myself very much of a reader. So when I read a book, it's kind of a big deal, or at least it very much used to be. And one of the things that I've been doing recently is that anytime a memory comes up on Facebook for any day, I go and review it and see if I want to keep it. And most of the time they get deleted, because I'm just like, I don't. It's not even so much about like having that there and it being cringe, though it is kind of cringe. It's more just like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't need to be there anymore. So I want to get rid of them. So it's like I'm kind of like lessening my kind of digital footprint, I guess. Because all of that information is stored in a server somewhere, which is using a whole bunch of power to, like, you know, maintain all of that data. And I'm like, it's just not necessary. So I'll just delete it. But one of the ones that I found the other day is like, I was reading a book 13 years ago and I was like, oh, no, this feels like an achievement. I'm going to have to go add it to my Goodreads. So I did that. I went and added, having read this book, to my Goodreads, being like, yep, that's right. I read Name of the Wind 13 years ago. It counts. If I put that there, that'll look pretty all right, I think. I think that'll look pretty all right. And then maybe we can put like a sticker in the corner. That'd be nice too. All right, we're going to tape run. There we go. Your Kokuyo. Kokuyo tape. Come on, you can do it. Kokuyo, because I'm pretty sure, isn't Kokuyo the brand of my notebook? Ow. Kokuyo. Kokuyo. Yeah. That's not an easy word to say. Like, it's probably fine once you know what it is, but reading it straight off the bat, I'm like, I am struggles. I love that little notebook. I'm gonna be sad when that little notebook's done. And it's the kind of thing like, yes, I could buy another little notebook just like it, but I'm not going to because I have so many bloody notebooks that I probably don't really need to. So I'm gonna stick this guy here, a little bit further over. Wait, and I wanted to stick it a little further up. So that then it kind of hides some of the weirdness on this little piece of paper, but that looks kind of cute. We're going to stick something in the corner here. I think we're just going to use a washi sticker, mainly because I love them. So these are me washi stickers. Funnily enough, came from the washi tape shop. Obviously, I've used a chunk of them. Thought like maybe we could put one of these in the corner or something, or just something kind of little. Something easy breezy, beautiful. I kind of am quite attracted to this one right now for some reason, so I'm going to use that one. There we go. Where's my little tweezers? Do I need tweezers to stick this sticker down? No, but I like to, so it's fine. We're going to just put that there. That looks cute. It's just a little bit nice. We're going to do a little bit of layering over here, though, because otherwise this area starts to look a little bit bland compared to the other side. So just finding some more stuff for it. Yeah, I noticed that people find Storygraph easier to use. My default is just Goodreads. I don't really, it's one of those things, I don't really care that much about tracking a whole bunch of like stats or anything like that. And I think that Storygraph does have like a lot of really nice statistics that it tracks for you. But I think that there's just like an ease that comes with the fact that Goodreads is, in my mind, more popular. I might be wrong, okay? And I don't really like the user interface for it, but because I've already used it. It means that I have kind of a better familiarity with it, I suppose. And then because of that familiarity, I find it a little easier. Tink. Yeah. So, where is me stuff? So one of them is going to be me little tape for my corners. And I think part of me wants to do the same corners because they're kind of blank. And then the other part of me wants to do the other corners. But the nice part is this is washi tape, so we can try it out. And if it doesn't work, we're gonna do it the other way. You found Goodreads overwhelming, and now you use, what's it called? Bookmori? That's cute. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different options here. I think it's just finding which one fits your own personal vibe. I think that Goodreads, while I don't like the user interface, I think it is clunky. It's the one I started with, so I am on Storygraph. I just I don't keep it updated because I know that you can do like a port over information with it, which is cool. Like I like that you can do that. So if you want to make a change, it's quite easy to actually change over from one to the other. It's just that I now having changed, don't actually keep up with it. All right, we need some stuff in the other corner. We don't need anything. We're going to put stuff in the other corner though. And I think for that, I want to use some of these musical notes for no other reason the fact that there's not really a lot of music in books, but there is music in TV shows. like, you know, there's actually audio components to a lot of this stuff. So I think I might put this like here-ish. And we're going to pull up the corner of this gently so that we can stick it underneath. Ugh. There we go. Cute. I always find trouble with like layering of washi tapes in particular because I never want the edges to be straight. So oftentimes I'll like rip parts of it up and stuff like that. just because I prefer it. I don't actually like the look of this page at all because all of these little elements look too separate, but that is not the problem that we are focusing on right now. So Buddy Binges, I'm so glad this is like our first proper actual page in here that is related to not reading. We have like a little piece of tape here that has some words on it, but those words look very, they stand out too much, if that makes sense. And I do have a little bit of like this stuff that I could probably stick in, like, you know, put like that there kind of a thing. Doesn't need to be, I can live through it. Wow, that's sad. This one's not as sticky as it could be though, so it's gonna have to be a different piece. Re-listening to your favorite fantasy books or diving into self-help books. Nice. Oh, you have the science washi tape stickers. I am getting those, and I am so excited about them because I thought it's just like, these are like perfect. This is absolutely perfect. I just wanted them so bad, but I'm excited that those ones are coming, which is good. Let's see. I think that I need something that's, again, just going to be a little bit more contrast and possibly kind of balances with this side. So I think I'll use some of this one, and we'll just rip off a little piece and stick that over the top over there in that kind of corner-ish area. Like, it doesn't need to be huge. And I think that even though it says Highbury Lane, I'm like, it's fine. I'll live with that. This piece is a little bit narrow though, so I need to be careful, she says as she puts tape down onto her actual journal page rather than the piece she's working on. Rude. I will say that I found that this Tombow tape runner, if I do get glue tape on my page, which I am definitely doing right now, I haven't found it too hard to get off the page. You just kind of like rub your finger over it and it kind of balls up and you can get rid of it. Whereas some tape runners, they're like, nope, you put the tape where you put the tape and now you have to live with the consequences. That's not really the business. Nature more faithful to one theme. Yeah, I wasn't actually planning on doing a scrapbook-esque theme throughout this entire journal. I was very much planning on just doing it for, like, I guess the start of journal pages, and then didn't have a lot of plan after that as to where I was going to go with it. So it was kind of like I was going to do up to here with my scrapbooky-esque pages. So however many pages that is. But then the idea of changing theme after that made me sad. So I just kind of stuck with it. So we've got the buddy binges, we've got the buddy reads. That's looking cute. We need to put some page numbers in though, because I actually use page numbers in this journal, mainly because things are kind of just like next available page, chuck it in. So that's 49, which makes you 50. 51. I know that places sell page number stickers, and while I can appreciate the idea of having all of the lettering style exactly the same, the idea of sticking a page number sticker down on every page of my notebook gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, how do you do this when you're not filming? Listen to music, audiobook. I'm new here, so inspired, but it looks like it takes forever. Oftentimes I'm going to say watch YouTube videos, but mainly it's not so much watching, it's more so listening to them, which is why I very much appreciate YouTube videos where the creator talks to you. It kind of just feels like company. So I'll oftentimes just queue up a bunch of videos, whether they be like journaling related or productivity related or anything like that, and just leave that playing in the background. Another thing that I found really good for, you know, doing journaling and having something going was Gilmore Girls, because they don't shut up. They just like, they talk so fast. And because they're talking so fast and because they're kind of like very much telling you rather than showing you a lot of the time, which is not necessarily like a bad thing, because as said, I really liked doing it with my journaling. It meant that I didn't really have to watch the screen, which was great. I very much appreciated that. But most of the time it is just YouTube. So buddy reads and buddy binges, those ones are sitting in here. This guy does not look like he's been cut straight. And by he does not look, I mean he has not, because you can see that the dot grid here just kind of like disappears underneath that, which is a little bit frustrating, but I'm trying to not let it bother me. If it bothers me too much though, I'll end up pulling up this side of the tape and just layering something underneath it, but it is what it is. So this is why I also like using these ones, because they have the line or the box that you can cut around. So from that, it just looks a little bit neater. Maybe I can put in a brown line to make it look like it's actually, I'm gonna try it, and then I'm probably gonna hate it, but it's fine. I'm gonna give it a go. Just put a border on this box so that then it actually looks like. Okay, it's not too bad. It's all right. I mean, you can tell that my ruler is not straight, but it's fine. And then we'll just roll off the top of this one. I think that by putting in a line that is straight, it might look a little bit nicer. I'm trying to like line it up with the journal page so that then it looks like it's supposed to be there in the way that I've put it, even though it's crooked. That doesn't look so bad. I'm actually not too sad about that. Try to have you playing in the background, but then you start watching, getting nothing done. Oh no. Yes, because I find that with the, having YouTube videos going on in the background and whatnot, most of the time I'm just listening, focusing on what I'm doing, just listening. Every so often have to pause because somebody has either said something interesting or they're referring to something and I actually want to see specifically what they're referring to. But most of the time it's okay for me. So that looks a little bit better. I think that having the box is kind of cute. And then we're going to flip on over. So this is where we were going to have book to screen here, not on this one. Because after this is where we start to get into the stuff that's like very much related to being a stories journal rather than just a book journal. So having a look at my little page, we have, what did we just put in? Effectively like To Watch with Bogle is like my buddy watches. And then, oh, that's interesting. I like the idea of that. Social media, buddy consume. There we go. That's the one. I was like, haha. I'm like, what do you mean social media? Like, this isn't a social media journal, but it was a play on words. The idea of like watching people. Wow, come on. I obviously need a drink. Tink. Jess is talking smack. But what I meant by that is that this was a play on word. I love that idea, she said when she wrote the list. I know. But that's why we write things down, right? Because past us, has some great ideas. And oftentimes we lose them to the ether because we don't bother to actually note them down. Okay. We are currently reading Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte. And I know that it's not applicable to a lot of people, or like, okay, I can counter that. I know a lot of people say that it's not applicable to them, but I think that because we all deal with so much information and we have all of these great ideas and all of that kind of stuff, like if you don't capture them, a lot of the time you can't end up ever doing anything with them. And they don't necessarily need to be like great ideas about like your journal, or it could be stuff like related to kind of areas that you're interested in. It could be about like ways to like streamlining my life is a big one that I like to think about. Or ways to just make your life a little bit easier and stuff. And if you don't note these things down, a lot of the time, like you just forget them. So when I came back to this list this morning, because I like flipped to it, I kind of looked at it and I'm like, I don't even know what the heck I was talking about for most of this stuff. But then we get little gems like this. Social media. Love that. Anyways, that's more of an aside. But yeah, we are reading Tiago Forte's book. We are reading Building a Second Brain, and it's effectively just a way to like kind of capture your notes in a way that's actually useful for future you. I like to think of the entire book as like do future you a favor. But so we have got movies to watch, TV shows watched. No, these are all watched, like stuff that has been consumed already, which I feel like is going to have to get its own spread each, because I was intending on, given that this was just going to be a books journal, I had a all the way back here, books read space, and I'm almost tempted, like, what if instead of books read, this just became media consumed? Like, I'm not going to change because I still feel like I prefer it to be just books read, but it was a consideration, effectively. Like, do I just turn this into one that just captures all of it? Mainly based on the fact that I have this much space in here. And it's like, well, if I'm writing all of, like, if I fill this list, I've probably filled this journal. That's actually a good thing to consider. Like, okay, how much space do we have on here? Where is my ruler? So we have 15.5 centimeters, so 31 entries. So 31, 62, 93. So 93 divided by 6, and the reason we're dividing by 6 here is because that's how many I have on a review spread, and that's kind of how many I haven't reviewed thus far. So 93 divided by 6 gives me 15.5 spreads if I fill up this page. Okay, so 15.5 spreads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and a half. Okay, so I still have this much of the journal left, even if I fill up all of the lines in that. That one just being for books. So we're just going to say that that one's included as well. So if I did like movies to watch, TV shows to watch, games to play on their own separate ones, and had like a full separate thing for them as well, then that would be at least another 5 pages per, so at least another 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, and I still got a decent chunk of the book left. This must be 192 pages. Because in my mind, I'm like, oh god, that's like that feels like I'm not going to have enough space left. But no, okay, that makes sense. So if we just left that one at the front, wherever he be, I'm going to turn to him even though I know that you know what I'm talking about. If we just leave these ones for books and we have a separate one for each of TV shows, movies, games, it still is going to be enough space to kind of capture the information. Hopefully what I've just done here kind of makes sense, but just in case you're like, Jess, what the heck were you doing? So I was considering, like, do I turn this layout, which is just for books read, into other media as well? Like, if I end up going and filling in every single one of these lines, will that kind of all fit with those little blurbs that I like to do with each of the entries that I have here? Based on the amount of space I have, yes, all of these lines will totally fit within this journal, but then I also still have a lot of space for extra ones, so there's no need to make this a combined layout. Like, I would make this a combined layout if I didn't have enough space to fit every single line of these in, but I do, so it's all good. So flipping over, book to screen would be here. Then this could be, if I start to put in like my TV shows, movies, rah. This would be TV shows because I don't have as many TV shows as I probably want to watch. And then we could have like a full spread for movies and then an individual page for games probably. And then this would be like a maybe next. All right, we're going to write those down. We need some. Scroll over. We need some little sticky notes so that I remember what I was talking about. So we're just going to pull some off. So we can put those over here. 1, 2, 3. I would also love to know, like, of the people who are here hanging with us, either here, live or on the replay, do you have a reading journal or media journal or like movies journal? Do you have them in a separate journal, like kind of what we're doing here, or do you just like to put that kind of stuff in your regular journal, or do you not really capture that information? I'm just curious. Notably, I obviously have them in a separate journal. And it took me a while to justify setting one of these up, but I've found that I've just very much like enjoyed that idea. Yeah, the maybe next. I was like, I know I've heard this somewhere. Yeah, Aaron Smith. Because the way that I was doing it as a is more the where did I have like top to watch? I was thinking of maybe doing like a top to watch page, but it's like more kind of combined. So it's like a most wanting to read next, most wanting to play next, most wanting to watch next kind of a thing. So I think that a maybe next title for that would be pretty good. So maybe next. So I'll put that down. Maybe next. Because I don't mind having a TBR. I don't really think of it as like a to-do list type thing, but let's see. You keep yours in your writer's journal. Nice. Only a reading journal, no other media. Fair. Reading journal, but keeping it very simple. Excellent. Books and book to movie TV in one journal, and then TV and movies in their main journal. Nice. Yeah. Because I think that that's the thing. It's like one of the main reasons that I decided to make this a combined journal is that I was finding like I was starting to get like guilty almost when I wasn't reading or when I was choosing to consume other types of media because, like, I had a movie I wanted to watch or like a game that I wanted to play or whatever. And I'm like, oh, but you can't capture this. And it's like, it's not like that you even need to. It's more just like I was finding so much enjoyment with capturing it. And I wanted to be able to capture those things, doing the little blurbs, which I was very skeptical as to whether I was going to like. But doing the little blurbs and writing my thoughts down and stuff, I would start to get guilty for not reading because I'm like, well, you can't do this for your other type of media because you haven't set up a space to do that. And that's why I've decided to bring it all together as this kind of like stories journal. But TV, movies, games. Because I think that for the movies list, that one's going to be... for the movies, I think that's going to be the largest one, so it's going to have a spread to itself. And book to screen is here. I know I had a sticky for you. Where did you go? Oh, well. I think I must have thrown his sticky out. So TV can go here because it really only needs one page. Or do I even do a TV one? Because that would be like a series tracker. Now I'm conflicted. You have a daily journal after watching your podcast with Mark. You are not a bullet journaler. Oh, that's okay though. I think that's the thing, like with the whole like, are we bullet journaling type deal? I also just don't think it's a bad thing if we're not bullet journaling in a way. Like there's not really like a big problem with it. I'm thinking I'm gonna keep the TV stuff here. Only because I feel like TV shows should get tracked separately to series, because when I say series, I'm thinking like multiple movies in a series or multiple books in a series, whereas a TV show, like by its very nature, is a series. I feel like I need a poll. We're going to do a poll. Yay! Alrighty, so TV shows. Okay, keeping in mind that movie series are going to get tracked on that series tracker as well. So series only. Or separate. I can't spell separate. Layout. Okay. And we're going to say series page. So here are the two options, right? Either I put my TV shows on their own separate page here to say like, hey, this is the show, and then this is like, the number of seasons and whatever. Or I don't do this page and I put it in the series tracker that I have closer to the front, which is probably before this guy, which is this one here. So just based on the fact that I only have 4 things written here, but I'm like, oh, will I fill that all up with TV shows if I put them all together kind of a thing? Like, I don't know if that really like makes sense. All right, we've got 29 votes in so far. Separate layout is on 59%. Oh, it's gone up to 60%. We're on 32 votes. Now it's on 62. No, back down to 60. Now it's on 64. The best part is that the vote kind of number keeps changing for me. So it's like, oh yeah, you've got 39 votes, but actually you've got 32 votes. Oh, but now we're at 46 votes. Alrighty, 40 votes in. We're on 68% for the separate layout. That is a fairly decent, 2/3 to 1/3 split. I think in my mind, I'm going to probably agree with the majority here. Like, I think that a separate layout does make more sense. Now, I've kind of given it a little bit more of consideration. So we are going to chuck that one down on a separate layout. Thank you for your input. Always appreciated. Bye for now, Deb. Thank you for being here. So we're going to make it so that the TV shows one comes up first. I think that kind of makes sense because a lot of time book to screen adaptations, like sometimes they're movies, but often I think that they're just better at TV shows because you get to be like I'm going to say like more true to the book. It's not necessarily what I mean, but you just get to fit more stuff in. So movies is going to go across here. Games will go here by itself. And then the maybe next will be here. So these things that we're setting up here are actually a bit of a repeat with a layout. Well, a couple layouts that I already have, which are in my long-term collections journal. Like my books list, obviously, I had already kind of started to pull things out of because I made this reading journal. But now the movies and the TV shows. See, like you can even see, like with the TV shows I've listed here, maybe I do need more space for TV shows. Nah, probably not, because I'm going to try and only write down ones that I've actually like committed to, rather than ones that I want to watch. Because that's the idea. This is watched, isn't it? Not to watch. Yeah. Okay. Now that I've said that, though, I'm like, if they're ones that you're actually watching, though, should they not just go in the series tracker? We're just going to set it up as a separate layout. We're going to use this as a learning experience, put it that way. So for book to screen, I'm going to do this guy here. And we're going to do a panel of washi down the side. And we're going to use my favorite panel washi, which is this guy. I love this tape. It is beautiful. I use it a lot in this journal, and oftentimes I will rip it down the middle like this so that I can use it on like two separate sides of a page or whatnot. There we go. Gorgeous. Put that one here. If they sold this tape like separately, I would just buy so many rolls of this tape. The only issue is that it comes in a set with 3 other tapes, I think, which, you know, they're nice, but I don't like them as much. This is the one that I really, really get the most use out of. But this one is also from the Washi Tape Shop. If you want to grab yourself something at the Washi Tape Shop, we do have a discount code for it. You can use, I think it's JashiiCorrin for 10% off your order, because we love savings. And the Washi Tape Shop does great washi tapes. Very much recommend. So put this guy on the page, looking super cute, super. And we will trim off the end. This is, the Petals and Parchment series, or the Petals and Parchment set, which I believe, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was designed by Anna of Journal Away, who is also a creator here on YouTube. She did a great job of this. If she made this tape by itself, I would buy so many rolls of it. So many rolls. But rolling that guy back up, so that then we can start to form this page. Cut off the corners. I love my corner rounder. Having a corner rounder is a great tool if you like to stick washi tape and stickers and such in your journal, especially in the very corners of the page, because it's just easier than trying to trim, like fiddly trim around all of your stuff. Just make sure that you open it up and get all of the little bits and pieces out. Oh no, it's stuck here on my fingers. Bah. Let's see. Oh, yay, I'm glad that you're feeling entertained while you're doing some boring stuff. Do you have any film strip washi? I used to, but it was quite a thin one. Let's see if I can find it for you. I don't think I have the tape anymore, but I used it in one of my layouts a hot minute ago. Songs, movies. I didn't do a very good job of planning this out. So this one at the bottom is a washi tape. That's one that I've had previously. Oh my gosh, my lettering. We're just going to put that away. But I found that I wasn't really using it very often, but it was a pretty cute design. I think I just got that one off like AliExpress though. It was not a super high quality tape, but it did what I needed it to do at the time. So it was that. Tick. So in terms of this one, I'm thinking we're just gonna keep kind of plain-ish, like not too crazy. I'm trying to find an example page for myself mainly. Oh, look at that. How sad. We're gonna need to stick that together. It's feeling a little bit aggressively treated. That's the thing with sticking in as much stuff as I have been doing in this journal. Like, I love how chunky it's getting, but the binding does not love it so much. I was thinking about like how I'm going to tackle my next reading journal, and I'm thinking that I'm probably going to step away from doing the scrapbooky stuff, not because I don't love it, because I do certainly love it, but just to try up a different style. I love Heba from My Little Journal. She has done previously reading journals. I think she's kind of changed up her style. She does a lot of stamping. I'm not very good at stamping. I would maybe like to try, but for me, stamping would be more for like elements that I just don't want to draw out repeatedly more than anything else, as opposed to like decorative stamping, which is maybe not so much of an interest for me. But I also know that like finding some of the stamps that people have, when you're getting into the stamping space and they're like, oh yeah, I got this one from like, I don't even know what stamping brands are out there, so I can't even give you an example. But a lot of them, they don't sell them anymore because they were like, one-off releases or whatever else. And I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. I understand, like that happens with a lot of different supplies, but it is still a bit of a bummer. So book to screen, looking cute. Like we could leave the page here, but I enjoy being a little bit extra in this notebook. So we're gonna stick some other things in here as well. So this is either became a movie or became a TV show. And I think I want to have a place to like check off to say like I've both read it and watched it, or vice versa type thing. So it's like we'd have the title and then we'd have like book, movie, TV show, or TV series. So kind of like 3 separate columns that. I think that I'll do it kind of similar to what I've got for the series tracker, where we have the separate lines. Flick through. So just the kind of highlighted lines, maybe a little checkbox at the start, which is cute, and then the dots to indicate what type of media it is. So we're going to have book first because it is literally called book to screen, and then we're going to have a little kind of filming setup, little camcorder type deal, and then the little TV screen box type thing. So because of where I've ripped this tape, we're just going to rip this part off so that then maybe, no, yes, no. I'm gonna leave it. So that then I can say like this is the place where I need to stop my pen. So put down them second lines of color because I love them. They're my favorite. Twink. Also, I recently realized that it is going to be a month until I am like effectively, well, a little under a month now, but a month until I am on a plane on my way to Texas. I am so excited. Like both for Go Wild and also just for like seeing people in general, because we're going to have a meetup in Texas to say like, hey, how's it going? So even if, you don't actually go to the conference, but you are in and around the, Arlington, I believe. Like, I think it's Arlington, the one that's between Dallas and Fort Worth. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to have a meetup in that general area. So if you are in and or around that area at the time of the Go Wild conference, I cannot remember the specific date we've decided to meet up. I think it's the Thursday in the afternoon, but you are more than welcome to come along and say hey, and I would love to see you there. So keep an eye on the community tab because that's where we're going to do any kind of announcements for that kind of stuff. But we also have an event for it over on the Discord, so that's also a good place to check for the details. Now, do I want to go one higher? If I go one higher, then that would be the header. Yep, okay, that's good. I don't want to go too high and then not have space to put the header in, because that would be how we say lame banana. There we go. Yep, Arlington. Excellent. Let's see. Yeah, I love the idea of 5-star stamps that actually fit the dot grid. I'd be very tempted to get one, but it would have to be a clear plastic one for me to actually be able to see where it's going. And I'm pretty sure that with the Archer and Olive bookish stamps that they just released, which are sold out now, but they had one that fit the 5 stars to the dot grid. And I'm glad that they did it that way, because if it didn't fit the dot grid, riots. Honestly, just riots. But there we go. I also like to do this, like the top and tailing with the pen here. Just go over it multiple times and it darkens the color up, but it's still like the same hue because you're using the same pen. So that's quite nice. Put that one here, looking swell. Yeah, sad to miss your meetup, but you'll be there in July. Oh, dang. It was so close. We're also going to have a meetup in Sydney in October. So if you want to come see us in Sydney, then I don't know, either go to Sydney or be in Sydney. And again, watch this space for the details to come. So this one is going to be, I guess it's going to be book or title. Title is probably a good way to word that, funnily enough. And then when it comes to doing the little icons over here, I am going to have to do that in a thinner pen so that then I actually get the general picture of it, not obstructed by a goop pen sitting all together. So for a book, I usually just do kind of like a rectangle with a line through it, but I usually kind of curve the sides out slightly. I'll zoom in. I'll just hold it close to the camera in a second so you can see. For the filming, it's effectively a rectangle with 2 circles on top, a little triangle outside, and then 2 little feet. And then a TV, even though they don't usually come with antennae anymore, I usually just have a rectangle with antennae and then a rectangle inside it. And that's kind of usually what I use to indicate the different types of media, but we'll bring it up here so you can kind of see what we're talking about. So a book, like, you can just make it very simple and just make it a rectangle with that intersecting line, or I kind of try and curve it out a little bit, and then your little camcordery bit and your little television. Like, they're not very attractive, to be completely honest, but they're also this big. So, like, as long as you can kind of see what it's supposed to be, I think a doodle is successful. Like, if somebody can look at that and be like, yeah, it's a book, then that's fine. A 10-hour drive? Yeah, let's not. That seems like a little bit too much. You're blaming me for your bank balance after you ordered the Archer and Olive book bag and embroidered notebook. I'm glad that you love them. I'm glad that they're gorgeous. I apologize for your funds, your bank balance, and I may not be on speaking terms. But that's looking cute. We're just wanting to add maybe a little bit more decoration and also those little things in. What are they called? I don't remember what they're called. I'm going to call them fasteners. They're not really, because they're just washi tape and they're not actually fastening anything down, but they look the part, and that's what matters. Let's see. That one here. Little tweezers. And then we can do a little bit more decoration because this part looks a little bit naked. We don't want that. And that could either be like with washi tapes or washi stickers. We might go look at some other pages for inspiration. I find a lot of the time when it comes to scrapbooking styles, because it is not a style that comes supernaturally to me, supernaturally, lol. I think that it's going to be just easier to either go find inspiration online for ones where you feel like the page balance looks good, or if you set ones up that you like, which I funnily enough have done, I can just go back and have a look and be like, okay, well, what did I do on these pages that kind of fits the bill? So, for instance, on this one, I had a bit of layering underneath this one. I didn't need anything in this corner though, so that isn't super helpful. But I did put a couple of little like stampy pieces on the side here, so maybe that could be something I add in. If we go to, where's another one where I've done this style? Because most of the time, I think I've done like a header the whole way across the top, so it hasn't really been necessary. This one I just filled in with a little bit of that kind of stuff, so maybe I'll just put in some little stickery bits type of a thing. Well, hey, I'm glad that you could make it along. You made it along to a live that was actually live, so that's kind of exciting. Pleasure to have you here with us. So, stickers! So for this one, we could use, I've got like 4 of these. I don't know where the last one is. He's lurking somewhere. But we can go through and maybe pick out a couple of pieces from these that make sense. I might look at this one first. And but the only thing that gets me with the washi stickers is that when you pull up the little piece of tape that fastens the I don't know, roll down, you do have to be careful to make sure that you don't pull up stickers along with it. I kind of like that one. That's looking kind of cute. So I might stick that in a corner somewhere. Again, just trying to pick the colors and the ones like colors so that then they fit the vibes, and then the shape to make sure it fits into the spaces that I want. I don't want to put too many in this space either. So I'm just going to put the one down at the moment, and we'll see if we can find maybe some tape or something to stick underneath that part. Let's see. You also blame or credit me for your ever-growing calligraph collection. Yeah, see, oh my gosh, yeah, the acrylographs, I'm glad that I've gotten out of that because I'm a bit of a collector when it comes to it, and I don't mean to be. Uh, so when it came to the acrylographs and my collector mindset took over, I was like, okay, we need to just like really quit this cold turkey. Otherwise, you're just going to keep buying them and you're not using them. Um, and they're not cheap, right? Like if we're buying these expensive supplies, hopefully it's going to be stuff that we're actually using. So I have let go of my acrylographs. I do not buy acrylographs anymore, but calligraphs I do still very much buy. I would like to get more use out of them. I like them more. I like brush pens more. So we had a question about the skizzers. I'm assuming they're in particular these ones because they're the ones that I've mainly been using today. These ones were actually given to me by Debbie. So thank you, Debbie, if you're watching. These are great. They're absolutely brilliant scissors. I will find a link for you. Again, like I'll try and link everything I've used in the description box after the fact, but for the sake of right now and a curious point about the skizzers, I believe that the skizzers are the ones that I've just gone and shared in the what's that? The chat. So they're great scissors. Would recommend. Very sharp. Be careful, but excellent. So maybe some tape, maybe some paper, tape and paper, papered tape. Type. We'll see if we can. This one doesn't feel very sticky. I mean, it's a little sticky, but this is again me not wanting to have too much text in here. So put that one there. Feeling like I don't really like the idea of the straight edge at the top either. So I might have to rip some of this off, but it's going to be a little bit harder. And also with handling the tape as much as I am, it then like detracts from the stickiness of the tape, which is kind of problematic in itself as well. So we might have to actually stick this down, like stick the washi tape down with glue as well, which is not as ideal, but that's okay. I will say that this set of tape in particular, like these ones, they are definitely a cheaper tape. Like they don't have the same kind of quality of stickiness, but they are a great set for having all of the different parts and pieces to do the type of scrapbooky-esque kind of style that we're going with. I think that one's going to come too far over, so we're just going to rip the end of it off. Put that down there, trying to make it so that then we're not like curling this piece of paper too much. Notably, it does need to be a little bit curled up so that then we can actually get stuff underneath it, but we might need to use some glue, which you could use either like, more glue tape or anything like that. I'm just going to use a glue stick in this instance because I think I'm just going to get better coverage, which means that I'll actually be able to stick it down a little better. So you don't often see Jess using a glue stick, but sometimes it's just necessary. So we're going to layer this over with something else because otherwise it looks a little bit weird. We do try and do some layering here to make it so that things kind of build up. I might use one of these ones, which kind of, again, it's from that like El Cheapo kind of set, but it looks kind of like a little stamp, and I think that's kind of cute, and we can just cut around it using the super sharp, gorgeous, beautiful, lovely skizzers that we have. So, as said, the scissors are sharp. Be careful with them. And yeah, I'm mainly telling myself that. There we go. Trying to collect these off. Just got your scrapbooking stuff on Amazon so you can decorate too. Nice. Yeah, I collected a lot of these over time, and the majority of them come from me, like where I got mine. Not to say that they don't sell them in other places. Majority of them come from Stationery Pal, Journal Say, and the Washi Tape Shop, which of course, all of those we have discount codes for. So, we love savings. This guy we're going to put up here. There we go, like there, maybe. Looks pretty cute. And I feel like it needs to have something a little bit lower as well, but I don't know what it is. This one is notably a Christmas-esque kind of tape, which is strange. It came in the same set, but it has things like ho 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 and cheer. Like, maybe we can just put cheer. I like cheer. Because people do that, right? I mean, I do that sometimes when I'm reading. It's not so much a cheer, it's more like what I call a squee. Like, squee! Because I get very excited about certain plot points, like when my ships are all coming together. Let's see. Do you ever purchase from secondhand craft stores? Curious of the quality of secondhand washi tape. I have never done that myself, but I'd be curious to hear about other people. Oftentimes I don't, when I get rid of my tapes, because sometimes I people will send me materials, which I always appreciate, but they're just like not really my vibe. Like they're not my aesthetic or like whatever. What I will usually do with that is that I will bundle them up and donate them to specific people rather than like secondhand stores. I don't know if the secondhand stores near me actually take crafting supplies, but I think that a great source for crafting supplies, in particular if you're doing like a scrapbooking style, would be secondhand bookshops where they have like quite old books, like old books in the sense of like this book is practically dilapidated. It's not really going to get a lot of play, so I find that can be really good for craft kind of paper type things, because that's what I'm using or have been using in my journal currently. My current journal theme, if we kind of flip forward a little bit, you can see with the butterflies, this is a old recipe book that my mum had, and she's like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to donate this anywhere, so I'm like, well, I'll just take it off your hands and use it in my journal. So I've been putting it in the corners, and it rips so nicely because it's quite old, and it's got like that kind of like aged look to it as well, which is just very pretty. Very pretty. So that's been very nice. These stickers, the butterflies, they came from Journal Say as well, and they have been absolutely excellent. I had, I think, 3 left over. I'll show you actually, because we're here, because we've got it open. I had 4 left over maybe. So 1 here, 2, 3, and then I must have used another one somewhere else. This is my washi tape graveyard, by the way. So the little pieces of tape from this month's setup are here, and then this is a different setup I'm doing. But yeah. So excellent. Gorgeous butterflies, but made for like an entire month's worth of setup with decoration that was like super easy, which I very much appreciated. So book to screen is looking pretty good. I think that this isn't quite how I want it, but it needs to like it needs to develop over time a little bit. And I would like to stick something along the side here. I do have these little bits and pieces, so like maybe I can find a washi sticker that kind of fits, because like this green one is beautifully punchy, but there's nothing else that's really green in this setup, so it would feel a little weird. Maybe I could get away with this one, possibly. Put that in there as like a little bit of visual interest. I don't like the white box around the outside though, so I'm gonna have to maybe go and just trim it down. I think I'm going to trim all the way down to this brown edge, which does mean that I lose the kind of stamp pattern around the outside, but I don't like having the white border. Actually, something that I do have, which I think is a very nifty idea, is stamp washi tape where the edges are already cut like a stamp, so you don't have the white border around the outside, which is quite nice. Yeah, you may do your thing with butterflies. Nice. Oh, I've got an itchy eye. Ow. So I'm going to put this cheeky boy here. because I think that because this part kind of like curves out so much, it makes this inlet look like it needs something. So I'm going to put that there. Gorgeous. I love that. So I'm going to go find this stamp stuff to kind of show you, just in case you haven't seen it before, because I do think it's really cool. I just need to remember where I put it. Which into itself is very much of a challenge. Oh dear. Oh, of course, you're all the way at the back. Good job, friendo. Ow, 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 ow. All right, so this one, which I can't actually remember where it came from, but the edge of the tape is actually cut as if it were, I know it's not in focus, as if it were a stamp. So you see how like it's got the little inlets? So when you pull these ones off, like if we actually, you can even see like just from trying to pull it up, it's kind of tricky. But when you pull one of these off, you can see how it's got that stamp edge on it. And then it's got them like joined, like the little edges there. So you can just rip that off as an individual piece. And it's like a little stamp, which is really cool. See, it's got the little curved edge, curled up edge. I'm not going to stick a rabbit in my journal for realsies, but like you can kind of see how like we lay it down and then it's like a perfect edge there. So then you don't actually have to cut around it, which is, yeah, like if I was trying to fussy cut around that thing, we would be here for many moons. And we don't want to do that. Hey, Shara's here. Awesome. Getting the whole team together. Also, tink. The bunny colors, it does fit with the page. I don't like rabbits, so I'm not gonna stick one in. Like we've got a squirrel. I do love squirrels. Maybe I'll stick a squirrel on. I don't know. I'm not much of an animal person, to be completely honest. So like having one that has pretty much just all animals on it. I like bees. Bees are cute. You know, there's a choice, Jessica. Like we could have stuck a little squirrel up here, kind of thing. I'm not going to stick it right here, or at least I'm not going to stick it here with the cheer underneath it because that looks a little bit strange. But I don't dislike that. I think it fills the page nicely. I'm gonna put the focus back where it should be. You love the backgrounds on the book bingo page. That one is scrapbooking paper from a Kaisercraft scrapbooking notepad. Because I thought it was a perfect fit for the book bingo page. I think I actually do kind of like this here, which means I'm gonna have to take cheer out. Get out of there. This is the nice part about using washi tapes is that you can kind of pull them up. I think that this guy is going to have to go a little bit higher though, because I don't like him being quite so close to where my header title kind of thing is supposed to be for that. That looks kind of good. We can layer that. I don't think I want to keep the cheer there then, because that looks a little bit strange. We can put cheer somewhere down, like here. Cheer. Woot. There we go. Cheer can be down the bottom. Or we could try and stick it at the top where it's not like so in a corner. Only because I went to the effort of cutting this out, so now I feel like I should use it. I also just don't have to use it on this page though. Like I could just go put it over here. There we go. Done. Now it's been used. I think that the squirrel looks pretty cute there, and I like squirrels. We don't have squirrels here, so they're already kind of interesting to me. Whereas the rabbits that we have here are very mangy looking. Kind of, yeah. Okay, the main reason that I don't like rabbits is that when I was in like year 2 or something, we read a story, and I can't even remember what the title of the story was, but the general gist was that the rabbits came to Australia and they kicked the bilbies out of their homes. If you don't know what a bilby is, it's like effectively Australian rabbit. I'm sure somebody's going to yell at me about that, but it's kind of like an Australian rabbit, but they have really, really long, kind of thinner ears. They're very cute. So I was very much like no, the bilbies are iconic. We can't hurt the bilbies type thing. The mean rabbits kicked them all out of their homes. So ever since then, I've been like prejudiced against rabbits or something. And that's why I'm just like, no rabbits. So with the TV page, I think that I could, for instance, put this one down the other side. I'm not going to though. Instead, I'm going to I'm going to set this one up kind of like the series tracker. Your favorite books, Bunicula? I don't think I know that one. But yeah, so they have the Bilby story, the Bilby and the Rabbit story, and I know that it was like symbolism for the idea of like, I don't know, European settlers or something like that, and how the European settlers like disrupted life for the native people in Australia. Like that was kind of like the deeper messaging of the children's book. But in my mind, I was like, nope, the rabbits, they're evil. The rabbits are evil and they hurt the Bilbies. And like, no, we can't do this anymore. Like, oh, okay. So you know that book. I don't know that book. So after that one TV show, I was looking at the series tracker to see what it would look like. We've gone too far. We've gone too far. So this one I did a header with that washi tape, which is just such a nice, easy, like blanket background. So I'll probably use the same thing again. And then the header, what the series were. So I'm probably going to do something similar, which means that it's going to go the whole way across. I just dropped the page. Yeah. There we go. Okay, yep, it goes the whole way across. And it has a little box in the corner. That looks very cute. Okay. Where's my pen? Seriously, where did I put it? Oh, a vampire bunny. Yeah, no, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Like a bunny Dracula. Bunicula. So, put this guy down on the page. Mainly so that then I kind of know where to stop. Because I do like it when pages line up across from each other. I think it just looks a little bit nicer. It's not necessary. I mean, obviously we had the page from before where we had like a top and tail kind of version, like header at the top versus a title at the bottom. I don't like to call it a header when it's at the bottom because that doesn't really make sense. This is like some kind of topsy-turvy type page. So we'll just go with title. But I do like when I'm putting the title at the top of both pages for it to be roughly at the same level and for the highlighted section that I'm putting in to be effectively at the same place as well. So this looks good. We like that. Happy, happy, happy. Even if it didn't sit into the section as perfectly as it could, that is totally fine. Put that down, put that there. 1, 2, 3, 4. To just darken it up a little, even though it's not as straight as it could be. I need a new ruler. 2, 3, 4. I've been saying that for a while now. I really just need to get on and do it. But it's like I'm not going to the shop for anything else, so I just don't. It's what's the word? It's not like it would feel like a wasted trip, but it feels like too much effort for the payoff that I'm going to be receiving from this. So we're going to put in title, and then this would be seasons. We're going to put seasons here. And then for the seasons, we will just use my brown dot marker. So for instance, if the first one has like 2 seasons, then we just do 1, 2. And I know that those dots don't show up very well, but that's actually kind of fine because it means that if I put something in the wrong place, then it's not super noticeable. Getting a metal ruler, I could get a metal ruler, but because I like to rule with the tombos and stuff, I feel like the metal ruler is probably more likely to dig into the bullet end of this and end up maybe damaging it. That's kind of where I kind of like am a bit tentative. But the most important part for me with a ruler is that I can see the dot grid through this one. So when I go to line this up, I can line up the little lines on the dot grid really nicely. To get myself in line in the way that I want to. Also, if you're using a page that doesn't have any dot grids, I don't have a page as an example, but we're just gonna pretend. We're just gonna pretend. So if we take this piece of paper and we rule a line in any direction, we'll just do this one. Yeah. And then you want to do a line that's perpendicular to it. So not like in line with it, but at a 90-degree angle. You can use the lines on your ruler line it up so that then you can see it cut through, like you can see this line lines up with the 7 there, and then put it on that line so that then you can get your perpendicular line, which is actually at 90 degrees. Does that kind of make sense? So because I sometimes need to use it in that way, I do prefer to use a plastic ruler that I can actually see through. That's like the main kind of reason. Let's see. Goodbye, notepad paste. Didn't need that. Let's say you've given up on making your journal pretty. You'd rather spend your time writing your book. Completely fair. I just find this to be kind of enjoyable. Like, I get a lot of enjoyment out of my journal looking, by my standards, nice. So because I enjoy it and I like the way that they look together and stuff, I'm more inclined to get in and actually use it, is the general idea. So for this one, we are going to do, map washi. Yay, map washi, yay. And we're just going to blanket the entire top part of this page. So rather than doing a corner type deal like we've done for these ones, we're going to go the whole way across. Nice wide washi tape. And then this one has like, you can kind of see, maybe put that on. Yeah. You can see how it changes here. So I'm going to cut that off because I don't want there to be like a random break in the middle of it. It doesn't really matter, but I don't want it to be there. And I'm also going to use my other scissors. These scissors are less sharp, but they are longer, so it's a little easier to cut a longer line with them. Because I will say that when Debbie gave me the scissors, I was like, oh, thank you. Like, I'm always grateful for a gift. Do not get me wrong. Always grateful for a gift. But I'm just like, I've already got scissors. Like, how much am I going to use these? I did not even know. I did not even know. These ones are brilliant scissors. I need to get myself a pair of Fiskars scissors that are longer to kind of replace these ones. Because these ones just like they're fine. They're quite comfortable in the hand in general. Like, some pairs of scissors are absolutely awful, but I did not even know how much I was going to love the scissors that I now have. So we're going to stick this so that then the top edge is actually at the top of the page, so I don't have anything to trim down, because I'm feeling a little bit lazy when it comes to that, and that's fine. All right, working smarter, not harder. But that does mean that it's going to come down a little too far, so I'm going to have to trim it off on the actual page. Well, I'm not going to trim it. I'm going to rip it, but that's okay. We'll just trim off the edge here, making sure not to accidentally cut the elastic or anything else, because that would be a bit sad. So now, as we've got the major part of this background in, we can kind of pull up this part and then rip along to make our torn edge that I like as much as I do. There we go. That looks cute. And then this part that we rip off, like, I could save it and use it for something else if I wanted to. But because of the way that I'm ripping this, I'm probably just going to... I'll put it to the side just in case. I might use it. I might. But this is just like a nice section here. I think that now, as I'm looking into in this direction, I want to rip more of this part off because this looks like it curves down too much and it looks a little strange. So we're just gonna tear that part there. That looks a little better. I think that looks a little nicer. It's not too bad. Not too bad. So now as that is in and flattened, that is effectively the base for our other decorative elements. I'm going to need to decide what type of header color I want, but first we're going to trim this off. Alrighty. Cute. And again, could save this. I'm going to just stick it to my desk. I've got like all of these little pieces of tape just lined up on the other side of my desk, waiting to be used. We can probably actually use a couple of those in here, which would probably be a good idea. So for instance, that large piece that we had from before, like, we can use some of that. So we're going to rip part of that off for some layering. Probably a good idea. There we go. Again, I like to have not straight edges for these things. So that could be like a background piece that kind of gets like, I don't know, schlonked in here somewhere. Maybe slightly to the side. There we go. Put that there. Looks cute. And then we need to decide on which ticket we want. Like I said before, I do very much prefer the ones that have an actual border, so I'm probably going to stick with ones with a border. We just used pink, so pink is not the one that we're going to use. And the page before it, we did brown, so we're probably going to use the blonde one. I know that there has been at least one page in this journal where I haven't used that type of header. I've used a just like a little piece of paper, and that was on the quotes page. But I'm like, I could do that again. But because I've only done it once, I'm like, yeah, nah, it's fine. This guy isn't sticking down very well, so we're probably going to have to stick something over the top. What about my washi graveyard? Yeah, I figure like if we get to the end and I want to put them in the washi graveyard, I can put them in there then. Is also a good option. I don't have a washi graveyard in this notebook, though. I only have it in my everyday journal, so we'll have to wait and stick it over into that one. I also... One of the things I like about my washi graveyard is when I have, like, weirdly a lot to stick down, because I start to make these little kind of like washi graveyard ladders, and I just think they look very cute. Like, there's absolutely no real function to them outside of just general enjoyment. But what is this page? TV shows watched. TV shows watched. TV shows watched. Nice. And that part isn't as sticky as it used to be, so we're going to have to find something to stick over that, or we could put it in this corner. I think I like it better over here, and I think I like it slightly lower, because higher doesn't look right. So we're going to stick you there, friendo. I feel like I need something underneath that. Maybe, okay. That one's going to have... Yeah, these two corners are going to have the parts. Oh, but then I've done that for like every single one so far today, and I feel like I need to change it up. So if it's going to go the other way, then maybe you could go here. But you look weird in that corner. I don't like you in that corner. I like you in this corner. Okay, we're just going to stick it down. Nope, we're not. Oh, yeah. Too many choices. I feel like it needs to have some more layering to pop better, which means I need something darker. Oh, where's our favorite dark piece of paper? Like, seriously, where did I put it? I have no idea. That's the problem, is that, like, things start blending into my desk, so I'm like, where is it? I can't see it. It's gone. There we go. That's fine. We can do a little bit of this one. I'm just going to rip the edge off here a little bit, even though I think the majority of this edge is going to be covered. But I think that I'd like to have at least some more stuff here. It's not going to come down this far, so don't worry. But just trying to see roughly where I'm actually going to want to put it. And this guy's going to have some kind of sticker stuck over him so that then he stays down. Stay stuck, please, friendo. Okay, cute. All right. Don't usually use the glue stick, but I'm going to for this one, just to make my life a little easier. I'm going to put it in this corner, so then I can stick this part underneath it in a way I like. Probably about there. That looks kind of cute. And then that guy's going to get stuck here. And I'm not using the glue stick for that one, because that part I don't feel like I need the glue stick for. That one we're going to use the glue roller. It's nice having all of these adhesives on hand, just like so I can pick and choose which one I want to use at any given moment in time. Because yes, even though the glue stick is not one that I like to use very often, it does have its uses and it does come in handy sometimes. Like for instance, when we had to stick down that corner, it just felt necessary. That looks good. Now, I want to make sure that this is as straight as possible. So I'm going to try and line it up with this side here. That doesn't look like it's in the right place. I want it a little lower. Just a little lower, not too much. That looks fairly straight. Straight is tricky. There we go. Okay, that looks... Because I'm kind of trying to line it up with the dot grid more than just the tape itself, because the tape could be a little bit cattywampus, but like the dot grid is kind of the main reference point. Yeah. Thank you for the photography lesson last week. Yay! I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful for people, because I know that there is a lot out there that can be very useful in terms of lettering, and I'm not like a lettering specialist or anything, but I figured it was valuable. And it was one that the team with a capital T got to vote on. I'm pretty sure they picked that one, because this one was picked by the community pick. Yeah. All right, we need something to stick that down, because that is looking a little silly. And I think I'm just going to use a little bit of tape. Maybe we can do some tape here. Oh, I like this. I like the darkness on this part here, so I think I'm going to try and steal that bit there. Which is great, because I was like, oh yeah, we need to stick down a piece of tape to like make this stuck better. And of course, I used the tape that is the least sticky, so maybe we're going to need to stick that down as well. So that was a choice on my part, but you know, it's fine. We have the technology. We can figure it out. Yay! I'm glad it was helpful. We're going to put that here. And then maybe stick something on top of it again. We're just going to like make a big chain. Mainly because I've got a straight edge at the top of it, and I don't really want the straight edge, especially because straight edges, then you need to try and line them up with other straight edges, and that's just frustrating. We're going to rip this part here off. There we go. That looks kind of okay. And then something on top of that, and then that will be done. Well, we still need to finish this part, but like that part in particular will be done. Cute. Just a little piece of paper, maybe? A little piece of paper? Sounds like an idea. We can just stick a little bit of that up. Yeah, that looks good. And then that one will just be done with a glue stick, because it's a little bit weird in terms of its sizing. So it's just a little fix. The journals are really pretty in the sub box. Oh, that's good too. Yeah, like I haven't seen this one. Like I know that people have done unboxing videos. I've just not been able to watch them. I've been prioritizing other things, like we talked about before. I am in charge of my own time and how I use it. It's like an affirmation or something. There we go. This one looks a little bit strange, but it's just like a whole bunch of pieces in a chain, but it's fine. Yeah, I haven't given myself an opportunity to watch them just yet. But I also know that I'm not getting the box, so I'm like, do I actually want to watch them and then be sad like if I find something on it that I kind of want? But I might just leave that, and then we can put these little boxes in so I can check them off once I've finished watching them, which is kind of nice. And okay, so with the TV shows watched, I was thinking that when it comes to doing my blurbs, I might do them based on a TV show season rather than a TV show as a whole. Mainly so that I can kind of reflect on the story of one season, because oftentimes TV shows change. Funnily enough, TV shows change from season to season, and the narratives that they're building upon and whatnot kind of change. Also, you do find sometimes that certain seasons of TV shows you like more than others. So I thought it might be nice to, when it comes to doing my blurb work, having a record of the seasons individually, especially because like I have a tendency not to actually finish a lot of TV shows. I can think of at least 3 that I have that have been on the go, I suppose you could say, for many moons. Like, I haven't watched the last season of Vampire Diaries. I haven't watched the last season of Lucifer. I have only watched a season and a half of New Girl. I never ended up finishing Buffy. Like, there are a lot that I just kind of like get to a certain point. I'm like, yeah, I'm finished with this. Like, at least now I'm soft finished with this. So I figured that when it comes to, like, doing the little blurbs and such, I just have, like, an individual season for each of them rather than the show as a whole, just to make it easier on myself, but yeah, we'll see. Um, I think that after this one, like we said, we're gonna do the movies, we're gonna do games in the maybe next section. But for now, I'm getting like super hungry, so I'm gonna skedoodle. If you enjoyed this video though, please do give it a big thumbs up. We might need to do another live stream to go in and like finish these ones off. But our next live stream for next week is a team exclusive, so you have to be part of the team with a capital T to actually come along to that one. But I hope to see you there. In that one, we're going to be setting up an April setup in Vogel's journal, so it should be a good time. Alrighty, team. Have a fabulous rest of your day, night, whatever else, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.